The galaxy was full of stars, but not all of them shone peacefully. For thousands of years, two great coalitions of alien civilizations had been locked in a war that stretched across entire sectors of space. One side called itself the Thalkar Dominion, proud, disciplined, and ancient. The other side was the Zorian Alliance, fierce, united, and equally determined never to bow. Their war had begun so long ago that not even their oldest historians could remember what first caused it. What mattered now was survival. World after world had been drawn into the conflict. Great fleets clashed, cities burned, and civilizations either submitted or were erased. Planets that had once stood neutral were eventually forced to choose a side. No one was safe, or so it seemed. And then there was Earth. The arrival of envoys. The first alien envoys arrived without warning. One evening, the skies above Geneva opened with shimmering light. A ship of the Zorian Alliance descended silently, hovering above the lake. It was not large, but its shape was unlike anything seen before on Earth. Smooth, crystalline, glowing faintly blue. The world held its breath as the ship landed. The aliens who stepped out were tall, slender beings with eyes that seemed to carry the light of stars. Their voices were calm, yet carried urgency. They spoke of the endless war. They explained how the Thalkar Dominion was ruthless, how it enslaved worlds, how only the Alliance stood for freedom. They asked Earth to join, to lend ships, resources, and most importantly, soldiers. At first, humanity was stunned. Proof of life beyond Earth had always been a question, but here the question was answered with certainty. Not only was life real, it was advanced, powerful, and at war. Yet before Earth could even recover from that shock, another ship came. This time it was the Dominion. Their ship was darker, shaped like a blade, reflecting no light. Their envoys were tall as well, but their features were sharper, their armor shining. They spoke with authority, declaring that the Zorian Alliance was chaotic and destructive. They said the Dominion was the bringer of order, of structure, of stability. They promised Earth a place in their empire, if only humans stood with them against the Alliance. Humanity debates for weeks. Earth's leaders met in emergency councils. The United Nations became the center of the storm. The hallways buzzed with translators, scientists, generals, and politicians. Each side made its case. The Alliance promised freedom. The Dominion promised order. Both promised protection. But humanity remembered its own history. Human wars had been fought for thousands of years, each side believing itself righteous, each side demanding others to join. Every century had its conflicts, its alliances, its shifting loyalties. And every war had its cost. The leaders of Earth asked themselves a hard question. Why should humanity fight in a war that was not their own? Some argued differently. This is our chance, said certain generals. If we side with the winning power, Earth will rise among the stars. Others shook their heads. If we join one, we will become the enemy of the other. Either way, we risk destruction. The debate grew hotter. News of the aliens spread across the world. People filled the streets with banners and chants. Some shouted for unity with the Alliance. Some demanded order with the Dominion. Others cried, "Stay out. It is not our war." And slowly, that last voice grew stronger. The decision, in a hall filled with every nation's representatives, the final decision was made. The Secretary General of the United Nations stood before cameras that broadcasted across Earth and, unknown to most humans, even across the stars. Humanity has heard the pleas of the Zorian Alliance. Humanity has heard the offers of the Thalkar Dominion, but we are not blind to history. Our own history teaches us that war consumes everything. We will not give our sons and daughters to a conflict that is not our own. We will not allow our planet to become another battlefield in a war born far away. Earth chooses neutrality. The message was clear. Humanity would not join the war. The Dominion envoys left with cold silence. The Alliance envoys left with quiet disappointment. To them, Earth was a stubborn child refusing to see the galaxy's reality. But to humanity, it was a declaration of independence. Watching from afar years passed, The war between the Dominion and the Alliance raged on. Earth was spared the flames, but Earth was not blind. From orbiting telescopes, from deep space sensors, from careful signals intercepted in the void, humans observed. They saw how alien fleets fought. The battles were vast and beautiful, with beams of light crossing emptiness, with ships the size of cities maneuvering in patterns. Yet patterns they were. Human analysts noticed something strange. Alien fleets were predictable. Their strategies repeated again and again, built from doctrines that had not changed for centuries. The Dominion moved with rigid formations. The Alliance countered with repeated cycles. They clashed with honor, with tradition, with rules that no longer surprised one another. To humans who had always thrived on change, this was almost unbelievable. In secret, think tanks grew across Earth. Military strategists studied what they called the alien chessboard. Scientists improved space travel in quiet projects hidden under the cover of civilian research. Engineers built machines not for war but for defense, just in case neutrality failed. Humanity was quiet, but not idle. The galaxy's assumptions. To the rest of the galaxy, Earth was forgotten. Yes, there was a small blue planet in a distant spiral arm, full of curious creatures called humans, but it was neutral, weak, irrelevant. Neither the Dominion nor the Alliance had time to waste on a world that refused to choose. The Galactic War consumed too much attention. Fleets were lost, empires strained. And yet, the war dragged on. And still, Earth watched. Children grew up, hearing stories of distant aliens, of a war too far away to touch them. Scientists grew old, pushing the boundaries of stealth technology, adaptive weapons, and artificial intelligence. Politicians reminded the people that neutrality was strength. And all the while, humanity waited. A quiet warning one night, decades after the first contact, a small Dominion scout ship passed through Earth's outer solar system. It was not here to fight, only to map, to measure, to mark. It sent no message, but human instruments caught it. From deep underground bases, Earth's hidden defenses quietly tracked its path. The world leaders did not reveal this to the public. Instead, they whispered among themselves, "The war is coming closer." Earth still stood by its choice. But even as neutrality remained the law, a new thought began to grow. What if neutrality is tested? Ending of Part 1. And so, Earth remained outside the war. But the galaxy's storms were moving closer. The humans were still considered too small to matter. The Dominion and the Alliance both believed Earth had been safely left behind. But humanity knew something the galaxy had forgotten. Wars are never truly far away. And sometimes the smallest spark can burn brighter than the oldest fire. The Earth had spoken. Its choice was neutrality. No fleets sent, no armies pledged, no oath sworn to either side. Humanity had closed its door to the galaxy's endless war. But neutrality was not the same as ignorance. From the first day the alien envoys left, humanity's scientists, leaders, and quiet thinkers understood a truth. If war burned for long enough, its sparks would spread. And no matter how far Earth was from the center of the conflict, sooner or later the fire might reach them. So Earth began to watch. Silent observers. Far beyond the moon's orbit, new satellites were launched. To the public, they were deep space observatories, designed to study black holes, comets, and distant galaxies. But in reality, they were built for something else: listening. These satellites carried sensors tuned to alien communication frequencies. They recorded fleet movements, energy signatures, and the strange patterns of alien warships jumping across space. Hidden within their cores were encryption systems built to decode messages that were never meant for human ears. At first, only a trickle of information came through. The Dominion's commands were rigid and precise. The Alliance's calls were fiery and desperate. Both sides filled the stars with orders and counter-orders, victory speeches and desperate cries for reinforcements. Earth listened quietly, storing every word. Patterns in the chaos. It was not long before analysts noticed something important. Aliens were advanced, yes. Their ships were vast, their weapons powerful, their technology breathtaking. But their minds, at least when it came to war, were strangely unchanging. The Dominion always fought with formation. Their fleets moved like chess pieces across a board. Rows of cruisers, walls of battleships, escorts lined like shields. It was beautiful but predictable. The Alliance answered with passion. They charged, they sacrificed, they broke into waves that struck hard and retreated. Again and again, the same rhythm repeated. Brave, but also predictable. To Earth's generals, this was a revelation. They fight as if they are bound by old rules, one admiral whispered in a closed meeting. They fight like history has trapped them. Humanity, in contrast, had spent its history learning to adapt. When strategies grew old, new ones were born. When enemies expected one move, humanity made another. That was survival. That was the human way. Shadows behind science, on the surface. Earth's progress looked normal. Civilians saw headlines of faster rockets, new orbital stations, expanded colonies on Mars and the Moon. They celebrated better engines, safer travel, stronger communications. But behind these achievements, in hidden facilities under deserts and ice, other projects lived. Ships with hulls designed to bend light, hiding from enemy eyes. Weapons that could change their frequencies mid-battle, confusing alien shields. Artificial intelligence that could think faster than human reflex, predicting 1,000 outcomes in the space of a heartbeat. It was not preparation for conquest. Earth's leaders had no desire to rule the stars. It was preparation for survival. A quiet whisper passed through the inner councils. If the war comes to us, we will not be helpless. Voices of doubt. Not all humans agreed. In universities and public forums, debates grew. Why prepare for war? Some asked. Neutrality means safety. The aliens promised to leave us alone. Others shook their heads. Do you trust promises made in the middle of war? If they run out of resources, what stops them from looking at Earth? Philosophers spoke of morality. If we have the power to stop destruction, should we stay silent? By refusing to fight, are we protecting life or letting more die? The arguments filled books, screens, and endless conversations. But through all the words, the governments remained steady. The official stance stayed the same. Earth is neutral, yet quietly, the Watchers continued their work, a world united in silence. One strange thing happened during these years of secret preparation. For the first time in centuries, Earth grew closer together. Nations that once competed began to share. Engineers from Europe worked side by side with scientists from Asia. North and South America joined hands on joint projects. Africa's new spaceports launched missions with Australia's guidance. Humanity still had disagreements, but the shadow of the galaxy's war reminded them of something larger. If the fire ever reached them, it would not care about borders or flags. Only unity could protect them. This quiet cooperation changed Earth. Progress accelerated. Where once projects took decades, now they took years. The dream of reaching further into the solar system grew real. Colonies on Mars thrived. Orbital stations expanded, and mining ships brought resources from asteroids. And always the Watchers expanded their eyes and ears, following every movement of the alien fleets beyond the darkness. The forgotten planet. Meanwhile, the galaxy itself forgot about Earth. The Dominion and the Alliance were consumed by their endless conflict. To them, Earth was just a blue planet that had refused to fight, a stubborn, unimportant world tucked away in a spiral arm. No envoys returned. No fleets passed near. Neither side wasted attention on humanity, and perhaps that was their mistake. For while the galaxy ignored Earth, humanity was learning. Every intercepted signal, every recorded battle, every captured fragment of alien technology drifting through space became a lesson. Humans dissected the information, tested ideas, built models, and simulated wars that were not yet theirs. A saying grew among the hidden circles of Earth's defense councils. We may not be in the war, but the war is in our books. The first simulation, one evening in a hidden base beneath Antarctica, a group of generals and scientists gathered around a vast holographic table. On it glowed a simulation, Dominion fleets in perfect lines, Alliance forces rushing forward. The two crashed against each other like waves against stone, but then a human officer touched the table. With a flick of his hand, he rearranged the pieces. He broke the lines, scattered the waves, moved ships in patterns no alien doctrine had ever allowed. The simulation played again. The result was shocking. The human pattern crushed both sides. Not with larger numbers, not with stronger weapons, but with surprise. The room went silent. For the first time, Earth's leaders realized the truth. Humanity was not just preparing to defend itself. Humanity was developing the one thing the galaxy had forgotten: the art of the unexpected, a quiet confidence. From that day forward, something changed in humanity's heart. Yes, they still claimed neutrality. Yes, they still hoped the war would never come to them. But now there was a quiet confidence, like a hidden ember glowing beneath the ash. If the war ever touched them, they would not be as helpless as the galaxy believed. A warning from the stars decades past. Humanity continued its watch. Then one night a new signal arrived. It was faint, distorted, almost lost in the noise of space. But when decoded, it revealed something chilling. The Dominion had begun raiding neutral worlds. Small colonies, isolated stations, places that had refused to fight, just as Earth had. The war was spreading, reaching for fresh resources. The message was clear. Neutrality was no longer protection. Earth's councils gathered again. Their debates were heavy, their words careful. Some argued for action, others for patience. In the end, the same answer stood. We remain neutral, but we remain prepared. Closing of Part 2, and so Earth stayed quiet, its defenses hidden, its fleets untested. The galaxy still believed humanity was a fragile, harmless race that had turned away from the stars. But Earth's watchers knew better. They saw the war creeping closer, like a storm on the horizon. They understood that one day neutrality would no longer be a choice. And when that day came, humanity would not meet it with empty hands. They would be ready. For many years, Earth had stayed quiet. Its leaders had promised neutrality, and the galaxy had mostly forgotten about the small blue planet hidden in the corner of the spiral arm. But the Watchers of Earth never stopped working. They tracked signals, studied alien wars, and prepared in silence. It was wise that they did, because the day came when silence was no longer enough. The raiding fleet far away, the Dominion war machine was growing tired. Endless battles against the Zorian Alliance had drained resources, ships, and soldiers. The Dominion began looking at neutral systems, worlds that had chosen not to join the war. To the Dominion, neutrality was weakness. If a world had resources but no fleets to defend them, it was an opportunity. And so one Dominion commander made a choice that history would remember. His fleet needed supplies, fuel, and metals for repair. His scouts had marked a planet at the edge of space, full of oceans, forests, and mining colonies on its moons. The commander smiled. He believed it would be an easy raid. That planet was Earth. First contact with fire, the Dominion fleet appeared near the edge of the solar system. Their ships were dark, sharp like knives, moving in tight formation. To them, Earth was just another target, no different from the many small colonies they had already raided. Their plan was simple: strike quickly, take what they needed, and vanish before the Alliance could respond. They expected little resistance, but Earth was not like the other worlds. The first warning came from hidden satellites orbiting Neptune. Within minutes, deep underground command centers on Earth lit up with alarms. Generals and scientists stared at the screens as alien ships crossed the void. "They are not passing by," one officer whispered. "They are coming straight for us." The Watcher's greatest fear had arrived. Neutrality was no longer protection. The attack on the moon. Dominion fleet's first strike was not on Earth itself but on its lunar colonies. Thousands of humans lived on the moon by then. Miners, engineers, families building a new frontier. Without warning, Dominion ships fired beams of energy that tore through solar farms and research domes. Explosions lit up the dark side of the moon. Communication towers fell silent. For the first time in centuries, civilians were killed by a war humanity had tried so hard to avoid. The Dominion commander sent a simple message to Earth: surrender your resources, or be destroyed. He believed humans would bow quickly. He believed fear would break them. He was wrong. The awakening of humanity. The news of the attack spread across Earth in seconds. Screens in every city showed the burning domes of the moon. People watched in silence, then with anger, then with unity. For generations, humanity had prepared quietly, never sure if it would need its hidden strength. Now there was no more doubt. Across every nation, leaders gave the same message. They picked the wrong enemy. Factories that had once claimed to produce civilian spacecraft revealed hidden production lines for stealth warships. Research stations in orbit unfolded into armed platforms. The silent fleets hidden under decades of secrecy came alive. Humanity had chosen peace, but now peace was broken. And when humans were forced to fight, they fought with everything. The first human strike. The Dominion fleet advanced toward Earth, confident of victory. Their formations were perfect, their weapons charged. They had fought countless battles and believed this would be no different. But then, something unexpected happened. As the Dominion fleet neared the orbit of Mars, dozens of small signals appeared on their sensors. At first they thought these were fragments of debris or mining drones. They ignored them. That was their mistake. The signals were not debris. They were human drones built to be small, fast, and unpredictable. Unlike Dominion ships, they did not move in neat lines. They swarmed, scattered, darted in every direction. Before the Dominion could react, the drones launched a storm of adaptive missiles. Explosions rippled through the fleet. Dominion captains shouted orders, but the drones moved in ways no alien doctrine had ever considered. Within minutes, 2 Dominion ships were crippled. A third exploded in fire. For the first time in centuries, a Dominion fleet had been struck by an enemy it did not understand. The Battle of Mars orbit. The Dominion regrouped quickly. Their formations tightened, weapons firing in perfect rhythm. Against most enemies, such discipline crushed resistance. But humans were not most enemies. Hidden among the asteroids of the belt, stealth ships emerged. They were smaller than Dominion warships, but faster and smarter. Their hulls bent light, confusing sensors. Their weapons shifted frequencies mid-battle, slipping through Dominion shields. The human ships did not fight by the old rules. They attacked from angles the Dominion never expected, retreated suddenly, then returned from another direction. They fought like hunters, not soldiers, and with every strike, the Dominion commander grew more confused. These patterns make no sense, he muttered. To him, war was an orderly game of moves and countermoves. But to humans, war was chaos, and they knew how to use it. The cost of fury, yet the battle was not without loss. Several human ships were destroyed, and colonies on the moon continued to burn. The people of Earth watched with heavy hearts as names of the fallen appeared across their networks. But unlike the Dominion expected, grief did not bring surrender. It brought determination. Millions volunteered for service overnight. Factories worked without pause. AI systems, once restricted, were unleashed to guide fleets. Humanity moved as one, something rare in its history. The Dominion commander realized too late that his raid had not broken Earth. It had united it. A message to the galaxy as the battle raged near Mars. Earth's leaders sent a message across every channel of space. It was translated into Dominion language, Alliance language, and every known code. This is Earth. We chose neutrality. We asked for peace. But our homes have been attacked. Our people have been killed. We will not surrender. We will not forget. To those who believe us weak, learn this. Humanity will not be your prey. The message spread like fire. Across the galaxy, worlds that had barely heard of Earth now spoke its name. A neutral world had stood against the Dominion and struck back. The turning point of the battle, the Dominion fleet pressed harder, determined to finish what they started. But then, Earth revealed its greatest weapon, adaptability. In the middle of the battle, human fleets suddenly changed formation. Ships broke apart into smaller groups. Drones swarmed in unexpected spirals. Weapons shifted tactics without warning. The Dominion commander gave order after order, but none of them worked. His ships were trained for enemies that played by the same rules. Humanity did not play by rules. One by one, Dominion ships fell. Finally, the commander ordered retreat. His once proud fleet limped away, scarred and broken. The Battle of Mars orbit was over. Humanity had won its first true battle in the stars. Aftermath, the cost was high. Colonies on the moon were shattered. Hundreds of lives were lost. But the people of Earth did not mourn in silence. They rebuilt quickly, stronger than before. For the first time, humanity's hidden strength was no longer secret. Across the galaxy, both the Dominion and the Alliance watched in shock. A planet they had dismissed as irrelevant had destroyed a Dominion raiding fleet, and humanity was only beginning. Closing of Part 3, the mistake had been made. The Dominion believed Earth would be easy prey. Instead, they had awakened a force the galaxy had overlooked. Humanity was no longer just a watcher. Humanity was now a player in the Great War, and from this moment on, the galaxy would never see Earth the same way again. The Battle of Mars' orbit was over. The Dominion fleet had come expecting an easy victory, but instead it left broken and defeated. Humanity, once silent and neutral, had revealed its hidden strength. Across Earth, grief for the fallen was heavy, but so was pride. For the first time, humanity had fought not against itself, but together, against an enemy from the stars. The galaxy was watching. A planet united on Earth. The aftermath of the battle changed everything. Factories that once built shuttles for exploration now produced warships day and night. Research labs, once focused on medicine and farming, turned their knowledge toward shields, propulsion, and artificial intelligence. Every nation offered its strength. Engineers from Asia designed new reactors. Coders from Europe advanced tactical AI. Builders from Africa expanded launch facilities. America and South America pushed resources into shipyards. Australia and the islands of the Pacific expanded spaceports across the oceans. For the first time in history, Earth was not a world of divided nations. It was one planet, one people, building for survival. The message was simple. Never again will our colonies burn without answer. The Dominions shock far away. In Dominion space, news of the defeat reached the High Command. At first, they did not believe it. How could a backwater world destroy a raiding fleet? Their fleets had crushed empires, burned planets, erased whole civilizations. Yet Earth, a planet without history in the stars, had resisted. The Dominion studied the reports. Their commanders were confused. The humans fight without order, they said. Their fleets break rules. Their tactics change every hour. It is chaos, but to humans it was not chaos, it was adaptation. The Dominion saw danger in this. If one small world could defeat them, what would happen if more followed Earth's example? Already whispers spread among neutral worlds. If Earth can resist, maybe we can too. The Dominion promised revenge. But revenge would not come quickly. They had underestimated humanity once. They would not do it again. The Alliance reaches out. Meanwhile, the Zorion Alliance watched with growing interest. For decades, Earth had refused to join their side. Now, Earth had shown strength greater than they expected. Alliance envoys returned, this time with respect. They bowed before Earth's leaders, offering alliance once more. Together, they said, we can end the Dominion. Your people are fierce, your tactics fresh. With us, you can shape the galaxy. But Earth's leaders were cautious. They remembered how both sides had begged for support before, how both sides had promised protection. Neutrality had been Earth's shield, and while that shield was now cracked, humanity did not forget. The answer was careful. We will fight only for ourselves. We are not your soldiers. But know this, if the Dominion strikes us again, they will not survive. The Alliance was disappointed, but also hopeful. Even without alliance, Earth had weakened their greatest enemy. New fleets rise. In the years that followed, Earth's preparations accelerated. Orbital shipyards doubled in size. New stealth cruisers rolled out of hidden docks. Swarms of drones, faster and smarter than before, filled underground vaults waiting to be launched. Command centers deep under oceans and mountains trained officers in new ways of thinking. Unlike Dominion or Alliance cadets, humans were not taught rigid doctrines. Instead, they were told, expect nothing. Change everything. Win by surprise, simulations became real battles. Ships tested maneuvers around Jupiter, weaving through its storms. Drones practiced ambushes in the asteroid belt. AI systems learned not just to follow orders, but to suggest bold, unexpected choices. And all the while, Earth prepared in silence, never declaring itself an empire, never seeking to conquer. Its goal was simple. If attacked again, Earth would strike harder than ever before. The second strike. The Dominion could not ignore Earth forever. Humiliated by their defeat, they sent a stronger fleet, larger than the first, with commanders sworn to restore honor. This time they would not raid. They would conquer. But humanity was no longer the same. When the Dominion fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system, Earth was ready. Drones rose from the asteroid belt. Stealth ships moved unseen and orbital defenses powered up. The Dominion ships advanced in perfect lines, just as they always had. Then the trap closed. Human fleets attacked from every angle, vanishing into Jupiter's storms and reappearing from Saturn's rings. Drones swarmed in spirals that confused enemy sensors. Missiles shifted frequencies mid-flight, piercing Dominion shields. The Dominion commander tried to adjust, but every time he gave an order, the humans changed their tactics again. It was like trying to fight the ocean itself, ever-shifting, impossible to predict. By the time the Dominion ordered retreat, half their fleet was gone. The rest limped away, shattered and humiliated. A signal to the stars after the battle, Earth sent a new message into the void. We are not your prey. We are not your pawns. We are humanity. We did not ask for war, but if you bring it to us, we will end it. The words echoed across neutral worlds. Planets that had once hidden in fear now spoke of resistance. Small colonies began building defenses inspired by Earth's example. The Dominion's reputation as unstoppable was broken. The Alliance saw this and smiled. The galaxy had a new force, one not bound to either side. Humanity's new identity on Earth, people changed. They no longer saw themselves only as citizens of nations, but as part of something larger. We are Earthlings, they said proudly. Children grew up with stories of the battles, of the drones that danced like fireflies, of the fleets that struck like shadows. There was grief, yes. The moon's colonies were still scarred, and many had lost loved ones. But grief had become strength. Humans carried it not as weakness, but as fuel. Artists painted the first battles of humanity in the stars. Writers told stories of courage. Scientists pushed their discoveries further, knowing they were building not just for survival, but for a future where Earth had a place among the stars. The galaxy reacts. The Dominion was furious. They began to call Earth the Disruptor, a world that poisoned the order of war. They planned revenge, but fear grew within their own ranks. If humans could defeat them twice, what would happen if humans spread their ideas to others? The Alliance was cautious but hopeful. They knew Earth could not be controlled, but they saw value in friendship. Quiet trade ships began visiting Earth, bringing alien materials in exchange for human technology. Small bonds were formed even if no official alliance was made, and neutral worlds. They whispered Earth's name with awe. For centuries, they had seen only two choices, Dominion or Alliance. Now there was a third example, a world that stood alone yet survived. The turning flame humanity had unleashed itself. No longer a hidden watcher, no longer neutral and silent, Earth had shown its power. Its fleets were small compared to the vast empires, but they were sharp, clever, and unbreakable. In every battle, humanity proved something new. Strength was not only in numbers, but in imagination. And in a galaxy tired of endless, predictable war, imagination was the most dangerous weapon of all. Closing of Part 4. The Dominion had made a mistake, and humanity had answered. Now both great powers of the galaxy knew the truth. Earth was no longer a bystander. The war that had lasted for centuries would never be the same. For in the quiet corner of the galaxy a new force had risen, one that fought not for conquest, not for empire, but for survival and freedom. And humanity, once dismissed as weak, had become the storm that could not be ignored. The galaxy had changed. The endless war between the Dominion and the Alliance had raged for centuries without a true winner. Battles had become predictable. Fleets clashed in old patterns, worlds fell and rose, but the war never ended. Then came Earth. A world once ignored had stood against the Dominion twice and survived. Its fleets were small compared to the great powers, yet its victories spread like fire across the stars. To the galaxy, Earth was no longer just a blue planet. It was a symbol, and symbols were dangerous. Whispers in the galaxy-neutral worlds began to talk. If Earth can resist, they said, maybe we can too. Small colonies started arming themselves. Traders carried stories of human victories, telling them again and again until they sounded like legends. The Dominion hated these whispers. To them, Earth was a disease spreading doubt. If other worlds copied humanity's ways, adaptation, surprise, defiance, the old balance of power would break. The Alliance, on the other hand, saw an opportunity. If Earth could fight the Dominion, then Earth might help end the war. Even without an alliance, Earth's victories weakened the Dominion. The Alliance hoped, waited, and watched. Humanity's choice on Earth. The people faced a question. What now? Some leaders argued for caution. We defended ourselves. That is enough. We should not go further into this war. Others shook their heads. The Dominion will never forget. If we stop now, they will come again. We cannot wait, we must take the fight to them. The debate was fierce. Scientists, generals, and philosophers all gave their voices. At last, one truth rose above all: neutrality was gone. Earth could no longer hide. The Dominion had made them enemies, and enemies must be faced. Humanity chose not to conquer, not to build an empire, but to strike back. They would fight not for power, but for peace, building the future. The next years were years of fire and work. Shipyards around Earth and Mars doubled in size. New drones rolled out in swarms. Faster engines, stronger shields, smarter AI, all pushed forward at full speed. Every launch was watched with pride. People no longer asked, why build? They asked, when do we launch? Children in schools studied not just history, but tactics. Farmers volunteered their machines to produce parts for fleets. Artists painted the new human flag that flew above ships. Earth united, one world among the stars. For the first time, humanity was not simply defending itself. Humanity was preparing to lead. The first offensive. The Dominion believed Earth would stay on defense. They were wrong. When Dominion fleets gathered near a neutral world expecting an easy conquest, human ships arrived first. Stealth cruisers slipped from the darkness, drones swarmed, and Dominion vessels were caught in confusion. The neutral world was saved. Its people had expected slavery. Instead, they saw human ships fight for them. For the first time, Earth had gone beyond its borders to protect others. The message was clear. We fight not only for ourselves. We fight for those who cannot. The galaxy listened. Dominion fear. The Dominion High Command was furious. How can one planet do this? They demanded. Reports described human fleets that moved like storms, never the same twice. Captains complained that no tactic worked. The Dominion, once certain of their superiority, now tasted fear. They ordered a great offensive. This time they would send not just one fleet, but many. They would crush Earth before its influence grew. It was their most dangerous mistake. The Great Battle. The Dominion offensive arrived like a wave. Dozens of ships, massive and powerful, poured into the solar system. Their goal was simple: end humanity once and for all. But Earth was ready. From hidden bases across the asteroid belt, fleets emerged. Drones launched in swarms so vast they looked like stars themselves. AI-guided weapons shifted patterns mid-flight, striking through Dominion defenses. Human fleets did not fight in lines. They broke, scattered, reformed, and struck again. They turned the solar system into a battlefield the Dominion could not understand. Jupiter's storms hid ambushes. Saturn's rings scattered sensors. Even Neptune's orbit became a trap. For every Dominion ship destroyed, more human ships appeared from hidden positions. The battle lasted days. In the end, the Dominion fleet was shattered. Only fragments escaped into the dark. The galaxy gasped. Humanity had not only survived, humanity had defeated one of the greatest fleets in Dominion history. A new voice after the victory. Earth sent a new broadcast across the stars. We are humanity. We asked for peace, but you brought us war. You thought us weak, but we are stronger than you know. We will not conquer, but we will not fall. To the Dominion we say this: you cannot break us. To the Alliance we say this: we are not your servants. To every neutral world we say this: stand and you are not alone. The words spread faster than light. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy had heard a new voice. Not Dominion, not Alliance, but Earth. The Alliance's reaction. The Alliance sent envoys again. This time they came not with demands, but with respect. You are what we could not be, they admitted. You fight with courage and change. The Dominion fears you, and we need you. Together we can finish this war. But Earth's leaders shook their heads. We will not fight for your empire. We will not fight for theirs. We will fight only for peace and for those who cannot defend themselves. The Alliance was disappointed, but also inspired. Humanity was not an ally, but a beacon. Hope across the stars' other worlds began to rise. Small colonies refused Dominion orders. Hidden systems built defenses. Inspired by Earth, they believed they could fight too. The Dominion's grip weakened. The Alliance found new courage. The balance of power was breaking, and at the center of it all stood Earth. The turning point, historians would one day call it the turning point. For centuries, the war had dragged on without end. But Earth's entry changed everything. Humanity's unpredictable tactics shattered the Dominion's certainty. Their victories inspired the galaxy. Their refusal to join either empire gave hope to those who wanted freedom. The war would not end quickly. Battles still lay ahead, but the future was no longer the same. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy believed the war could end, and it would end not with Dominion order, not with alliance fire, but with the spark of a world once ignored. Epilogue: a new dawn on Earth. People looked up at the night sky. They no longer saw stars as distant lights. They saw them as paths waiting to be walked. Children dreamed not just of being explorers, but defenders of peace. Families on the moon rebuilt stronger domes, proud of their survival. Ships leaving Mars carried banners of Earth united. Humanity had refused the war at first. They had wanted only peace. But when the war came to them, they had answered, and in answering, they had changed the galaxy forever. Earth was no longer silent. Earth was no longer ignored. Humanity had risen.